So hi, I am Tara. I am the People Operations Manager at Monzo. I have been working at Monzo for just over a year, and I started off as their office manager. And I don't know about you, but I think the office manager role at Monzo, well, in any business, is crucial to culture, because they're the person who everyone speaks to all of the time about everything. And that's a really important role. And actually, one of the interview questions when I applied for Monzo was, you're the touch point for everybody. So I think that despite you signed up for Maria and you've got me, sorry about that, I think I've still got a pretty good perspective on culture at Monzo. So, just in case you don't know who Monzo are, we are a bank. You may not guess from the surroundings, it's not exactly HSBC, but it's different. We are a new kind of bank. We've been in existence for 3 years. We started off born out of frustration with traditional banking. Our CEO, Tom, was just pretty much like, oh, everything sucks about my current account. Like, why do I have to wait 3 days to get my PIN? Why am I being taken advantage of by my bank? I went into my overdraft for 5 minutes and you've charged me £30. What is this? And he was just like, well, why does it have to be this way? And he realized it doesn't have to be this way. And that's how Monzo was born. So why are we talking about growth? So Monzo started off to build a current account, but we thought, well, we want to know what people want. How do people react to our product? Like, how can we serve them in the best way? And growth was something that happened to us very, very quickly. This is our activated users on our prepaid card. It started off as an experiment just to see, hey, how would people use our product when we launch our current account? We're only going to do about 1,000, maybe 2. Today, we have over 500,000 users in just over a year, which is astronomical growth, mind blown all the time. We're just like, oh my gosh, all these people are using our card. And it's still in the experimental stage. And one of the things that comes along with massive customer growth is employee growth. This metric shows growth at Monzo from March 2015, when we first launched, to what will be the headcount at Monzo at the end of November. So this represents 8, and that represents close to 300 people. About 2 weeks ago, we had 18 people start on the same day, and I can assure you, as the person who was greeting them, I felt a bit like a tourist guide in Leicester Square, being like, welcome to Monzo. Bathrooms are over here, you can get food over here. But, one of the things about employee growth is that it's absolutely wonderful, giving people careers that they can believe in, especially when it's a product that we all believe in. But one thing is culture. How do we make sure that it's still an enjoyable experience? When you're only 8 people, it's really easy to be like, okay, we care about these things, we're going to do this. When it's 230 people, it's a lot more difficult. So that's why we chose the topic, growth as a tool for culture, because we found that actually growth has helped us realize what our culture is and to make it continue as we continue to grow. So, what is culture? I get asked this a lot, particularly by my parents who have worked in local government for 35 years. And they're like, oh, I'm from Wales. And they're like, oh, well, culture, what's that? I mean, I go to work, I get my money, I go home, why do I care? And I was like, well, to be honest, how do you feel when you're at work? And they're like, oh, what does your business care about? And I mean, being in local government, they care about varying things, and we could debate that till the cows come home. But I was like, how do you feel when you're at work? And oh, well, I don't know, I'm there 8 hours, and then I go home. And it's but you should care a bit more about what you're doing. And my parents are massively hardworking people, but as an institution, local government does not necessarily always have the best culture. And then people talk about things like mission statements. So just as a show of hands, who has a mission statement in their business? Okay, I'm not actually going to pick on anyone, so don't worry. But of the hands that are up, how many of you could, if I asked you, but I'm not going to, recite your mission statement? Okay, that is considerably less hands. And of those people with their hands up, how many of you would say that you live your mission statement every single day? It's in your business? That is impressive. I've asked this question a few times, and usually it's no. But a lot of hands went down. I just even asked you to recite it. So culture isn't what's written on the wall. It's not what's written in your employee handbook. It's what you do every single day. It's, if you say that you have a culture of not working late, but then come 8 o'clock, everyone's still there working hard, then your culture isn't about work-life balance. It's about working late. If you say, oh, our culture is about having good mental health, but actually everyone's super stressed and crying in the toilets all the time, that is not a good culture. That's not what your culture is. And I honestly couldn't necessarily tell you I couldn't say to you, Monzo's culture is this, this, and this. I can just tell you that we have things that we definitely care about, and the things that we care about, we have tried to kind of stem through our growth as we've moved on as a company. So we asked our employees, like, when you think of Monzo, what do you think of? And these are the words they came up with. I mean, young, is that a culture word? I mean, yeah, we do have a lot of young people here. I increasingly feel old, and I'm only 30. But I think that, like, the proof is in the pudding. What do your employees say about you and your business? Passionate, intelligent, talented, driven, friendly, ambitious. The word that I really like is lovely, because it's a word that I say all the time. But what a really nice way to be described by your employees. So it's not just what's written on the wall, it's what you do every day. But how do you carry that through when you're growing so quickly? First of all, you think about, how do you want people to feel? How would you like people to act? And what would you want people to say about your company when they go home and talk to their partners, talk to their friends? When you have job postings, do they recommend their friends and family to apply at your company rather? And by and large, I can say at Monzo, the answer is resoundingly yes. We have lots of people who've recommended jobs to people, and that's why we've been able to grow so quickly, is that people thankfully really want to work for us because we care about how people feel at work. So, a culture of growth. This is growth at Monzo. Constantly, it's just oh, we're growing. And we're still growing. And we're still growing. Oh my gosh, when will it ever end? And to be honest, you don't want it to end, but you kind of do a little bit. Just to take that little breath and be okay, we're going to be strategic now. We're going to sit back and have a big picture plan. And I'm going to be honest, I'm standing in front of you not as an expert, but just someone that growth happened to, and I did my best. And I think we can say that to the whole of Monzo. We are just doing our best. We are not experts. All I am telling you is what we did. And it's kind of worked, and sometimes it's kind of worked sometimes, and sometimes it's failed epically. And that is fine. It's just about trying and being well-intentioned. So, first of all, when you're trying to scale your culture, it starts at hiring, getting the right people. We have this thing called Monzo-ness and Monzo empathy. And again, I cannot tell you what it is. You just sense it. I went through a period of interviewing many, many people in a very short period of time, as you can probably imagine. And you just know when you're sat across from someone, are they passionate? Are they empathetic? Do they care about the product? Do you think that when they are in the office, they're going to make a positive contribution? Because it's not about having, I really dislike the term culture fit, because then that makes me think of Apollo syndrome and just hiring people in your own image, which is not what you want. Diversity is key to having a strong workforce that works together and challenges things. But it's about thinking, ambiguity is at Monzo all the time. It's something we hire for. So it's do we want someone who, when things are ambiguous, is going, oh, no, I'm ill, I'm not coming in? Or do we want someone who's oh, it's ambiguous, that's scary, but I'm going to go for it anyway, see what happens. It's about just finding people who are really brave and ambitious and have goals, and really, really lofty goals that they probably will fail, but that's okay because they really tried, and that's what you want. It's not about hiring perfect people, it's about hiring people who care, who are supportive of one another in the work environment, and who you think will challenge the status quo at Monzo, because it's only when new people come in and they have this Monzo-ness, which presents differently in different people, that they come in and go, oh, you do that? That's really rubbish. Why do you do it that way? And then we go, oh, we thought it was good. Oh, it's not. Let's change it. And then we change it. And then that's how we keep moving forward so quickly, because we're adaptable and we're agile, and we listen to the people who work here. And also, it's driven from how we treat our customers. We don't like to put up walls between our customers and ourselves, because we are our customers. When I go on Intercom and I'm oh, that outage was rubbish. I couldn't pay for my Nando's. This is outrageous. I am just the same as every other Monzo customer who could not pay for their Nando's that day. And I get treated the exact same way. I don't get any special treatment, and that's really important. So in the people team, everybody at work is our internal customer, and we have to treat them the same way, with respect, with empathy, and making sure that we present the best foundation for them to be happy. I used to think for a long time I was responsible for people's happiness at Monzo, and I can tell you that's very tiring, very quickly. And then I kind of took a time out and I was No, that's not my job. My job is to present the best foundation where happiness can flourish. And that's what you think about. You think about, how can we make people happy? How do we challenge people? How do we give people opportunities to develop? How can we make sure that people are building social connections through Monzo? Because these are the things we care about. So, the role of onboarding. We have rejuvenated our onboarding process so many times because we think, oh my God, this is the best thing ever. People are going to come in and they're going to be like, yes, Monzo. But it's not scalable. So what is really good when one person is starting a week, and even that was quick to start off with, does not work when you have 18 people starting a week. But it's not anything to be scared of. Like growth, well, it's good to have a little bit of fear in everything you do, I think, but it's not something to hide from, because when people join en masse, 18 people, for some companies, that it will, and at some point at Monzo's stage, that was 50% of an entire company, and they can inform their own culture. But through onboarding, straight away, we found we can scale culture through growth. So when people come in, how do we welcome them? From the first email they receive, we're sending them emojis, we're being like, hey, how you doing? And some people might see that as contrived, a certain way to talk to people, but it's just us being ourselves. We are humans who are hiring other humans. We're going to work with them every single day. So it doesn't matter if you're, a casual worker who's joining Monzo part-time to pack cards, or if you're the new CRO, we're going to be like, hey, we're so excited for you to join, cheeky emoji, we love you to come for breakfast, where do you like to eat? Breakfast is so important, and it's true, breakfast is so important to me, honestly. And, just making it clear from the get-go that at Monzo, having that social connection and having people, be your friend, and, we're not saying everyone at Monzo is going to be your best friend, because they're absolutely not. But they're going to be nice to you, they're going to be supportive, they're going to engage with you. And from then on, we pair people with buddies, people who've been at Monzo for some time. So straight away, they have a support network who they can turn to. And also, the buddy leads through examples. So if you are doing something and your buddy's like, oh, hey, actually, we do this. So we have flexible hours. So if you see your buddy waltzing out at 4, you're like, oh, people actually do that here. Maybe I could do that here. And then you do it. And if you see, your buddy go on a month-long holiday and no one's like, oh my God, that person, can you believe they took advantage of that benefit that Monzo openly advertised? But they're just like, oh my God, I hope they're having a great trip. And that was me. I'm going to be honest, I took the whole of September off and I do not care. It was why I joined Monzo and I took advantage of it straight away. But through onboarding, by welcoming them and then having a How to Monzo session, we say to them, you're here, and we're so grateful, and we're so thankful, and we really like you. And the people feel, oh, I am welcomed, and this is the kind of environment it is. People are wearing trainers, people are bringing dogs into the office. It's straight away through onboarding, they see how people genuinely work day to day, and then they know, oh, this is kind of how I have to act as well, or not necessarily making everyone act in the same way, but it's okay to be me, and it's okay to work in the way that makes sense for me. And yeah, sometimes there are waving bears, sometimes not. So, one of the things about culture, as I said, onboarding doesn't work when you're designing it for 4 people, and then when there's lots and lots of people. So I'm just going to go through some problems that we had and then solved, and then kind of broke again, and then we solved them again. As we continue to grow rapidly. So, social connections through food. Food is very important at Monzo. It just is. There's no denying it. I mentioned earlier that, we invite everyone to breakfast on their first day. And we also did this thing called Lunch on Monzo, where I would randomly pick 5 people across the company and just send them off to lunch to a restaurant in Shoreditch when we used to be over the other side of Old Street. But as we grew, I can't believe I'm saying this, there literally aren't enough restaurants in Old Street and Shoreditch for the amount of people I needed to send to lunch all the time. And also, they did not have tables that would seat 20, or they did, but they just didn't want to give them to me. So what we did to solve that, we still wanted people to eat together, still wanted people to connect. So instead, what we did was we get a street food vendor to come in Mondays and Wednesdays, and you just go down, you get your food, you come into this event space, and people from all different teams are sitting down and chatting. It helps break down the silos of engineering teams and customer operations teams and banking teams, and then the people team in the corner. We all interact, we all eat together, and eating is just like this lovely thing. Like, who doesn't love a hot lunch? But also, like, socially, you connect, you talk about the food, it gives you something to talk about and breaks down like any awkwardness for someone who you might not know. And at first I didn't think it would work, but then actually people did just come down and like come over to the table, hey, can I sit here? And they were like, yes. And you just see all these different kinds of people eating together rather. Places that I've worked before, you were not even allowed to speak to the CEO. Like, just know, like, you averted your eyes and you scurried past, and if they came in, you looked really busy, even though you were busy, but you looked busier just in case they, like, paid a special attention to you. Tom, our CEO, just comes in and, like, eats his food, and he's with, like, everyone here, and it just, like, it's a really strong component of our culture that we don't... Obviously, you have hierarchy in the sense of responsibilities because you do need accountability for work that's being done. But in terms of, like, social culture, there isn't that hierarchy. Like, everybody just hangs out together and, like, eats together, which is nice. So that's how we've solved that for now. We can't fit 400 people in this space. So I don't know. If you have ideas on how to feed 400 people, please like write them on a card or something. Let me know, because that's my next thing. Okay, radical transparency. Transparency is massive at Monzo, but it was a lot easier when there was a lot less of us. We believe that all information should be accessible to everybody, and it's the best way to build a company because there's no secrecy, and everyone kind of feels involved in the journey that we're going on. We used to do this thing called 10 at 10. Everyone in the company, 10 o'clock. Hey, what are you working on? I'm working on this. What are you working on? I'm working on this. Cool. High fives. Everyone goes and sits down. So we did that for a while, and then we got to about 40, and it was kind of like, oh, we can't actually fit in a circle anymore. This is kind of like a squidge. And then we were like, okay, this is a bit ridiculous. Everyone coming up, we can't all fit anymore. We'll have to do something else. So we did 10 at 10 on Slack. And again, that worked for a while. Emoji reactions everywhere, yay. But then you just have all this stuff, and you are interested, you are, but also can't be bothered to read it all anymore. So we're like, okay, right, don't do that anymore, don't do that anymore. Okay, what we're going to do is we're going to send weekly emails from the teams, and that will outline everything that everyone's done. So again, everyone feels involved in the decisions that are being made. Everyone knows where we're going. Great. But then there were like 17 emails on Friday, like Friday at 5. You're like, I'm going home. Like, I don't want to read all this stuff. It takes ages. Like, I'm interested, but I want to go home. So what we've done to kind of solve that for the time being is we publish our Exco minutes, which is Exco is a group of like C-level people in the company and heads of teams where they like discuss kind of what's going on. That is shared publicly with everyone, so that's kind of like a high-level overview. But also Tom at our weekly team meeting just sits down and takes Q&As. And oh, bless him. Like, he really answers everything as well. And sometimes you're like, why would you ask that? But like, it's great because then if you have a burning question, the CEO tells you, or like people who are responsible for it tell you. And we've also made our team meetings a lot more efficient. So demos, which used to take ages because like the projector wouldn't work and people would press play and it wouldn't load, all have to be pre-recorded. So it's just about being really mindful of if we want to keep information flowing freely and making sure that everyone has all the information they need or want, everything is still accessible on Google Drive. So it all just depends. Like, I'm kind of like a high-level overview kind of person, but there are some people who are like, I want to know absolutely everything. And we have Slack channels where they can read everything that is going on with every single team. And with so many people coming into the company, that's why one way we've enhanced our culture of transparency is by making it really easy for them to get that like high-level overview, but making it clear the pathways they can go to get more information should they need it. A culture of kind, considerate, inclusive humans. Yeah, that is mostly down to hiring. It's also down to language. At Monzo, we try to be as inclusive and considered as we possibly can be. And first of all, that starts in hiring. How do they present themselves in the interview? Do they care about the things that we care about? But also, by having buddies with them all the time, they see how they interact with different kinds of people. They see how people chat on Slack and things like that. Like we have Slack channels that when you join, the only channels that you will automatically join to on Slack are important, it's in the name, general, gratitude, and that's just a channel where people just say thank you, which I think is one of the cornerstones of our culture, is that we all say thank you all the time for everything. And it's not like this all the time, but like, hey, you did the coffee in the morning when you weren't even going to drink coffee just so that everyone else had coffee when they first came in. That's really nice. Or, hey, there was a problem I'm not going to pretend I know about technical things, but like a technical problem occurred and you stayed up till like 3 a.m. to fix it so that our customers weren't inconvenienced. Like, go you. And it's not just one or two people. It ranges from the top of our organization to the bottom, that everyone just makes other people feel valued and also just makes them feel like seen by the rest of the company, because then they say, hey, thanks, and then everyone like emoji reacts. Like, oh, I should say, if you don't have Slack in your organization, imagine Facebook chat, but you can react to things with emojis, but everyone in the company is in it, and it's not as awful as it sounds. It's not like a WhatsApp group chat that like you come back and there's like 172 messages. You choose what you see, so don't worry, it's not that bad, but it's good because everyone can see everything. And with gratitude, it just highlights behavior that we then want to continue. So straight away, new joiners see this. Hey, we say thank you. We make people feel valued. We will value you. And also, they see the behaviors that are highlighted, which then in turn makes them hopefully replicate that behavior or think, I don't care about any of this, I'm leaving. But also, I did mention language. So, one of the good things about Monzo is that, yeah, I'm like a tissue addict. It's a problem. One of the good things about Monzo is they tell you how much money you spend in like different vendors. It's shameful. Like, I just don't want to see it. I'm like, why'd you tell me? I don't need to know about my own self, you know? But we've come up with different things so that when people do things, they get like a little Slackbot reminder. So, okay, saying guys to the whole company is not a big deal in the like grand scheme of things, but also it does make people think about the language that they're using. And we want to make Monzo as an inclusive place as possible, and we want people to be thoughtful in the way that they speak to people. So having this reminder is there, but then it also prompts discussion, because someone might go, hey, I don't think it's a big deal. Why do we need to do this? And then people will go, oh, because of this or because of that. And that's one of the things I think is really important at Monzo, is making people, when they join, feel empowered to have discussions, because everything should be challenged, and you should always have a reason for why things are the way things are, rather than just, oh, it's just what we do. And I think that is something that I'm really proud of at Monzo, is everyone feels empowered to voice their opinions and to make themselves heard. And it means that our culture can be as flexible as the people who join, rather than just, this is how it is and how it will be, and you will like it, or you will be quiet and like it, hopefully. You know, it's no, you can challenge things, you can change it. And that's one of the things about culture, is that it is this thing that is evolving constantly. And if it's not, you probably, like, that's more concerning than anything else, because with every new person or group of people who come, they're bringing experience and, you know, different areas of knowledge to your business, and that shouldn't just be impacting the work they do, but how they make the general office feel. Oh, I've been told this reference is dated, so you will feel how you feel about this. But J-Lo said, love don't cost a thing, and either does culture. Culture, people think, is about yoga and coconut water and about, you know, having dogs in the office. And while I think that every office should have a dog, that is not necessary. Culture is about the questions I said at the beginning. How do you want to make people feel? What do you want people to say about your organization? And it doesn't have to cost money. It's just about how the things that, you know, it doesn't even have to be the people team. It should be everybody as ambassadors for their culture. And that's what we've done with our buddy system, is make everyone responsible for making new joiners feel welcome, making sure that new joiners feel supported, and making sure that they feel that if they think we're doing something stupid, they can say, hey, this is stupid, and not be scared of consequences. I mean, there's a time and a place, maybe in the team meeting being like, hey, that's stupid. It's not like the best time, but at least like going to someone afterwards and going, hey, I don't agree with that, is really, really important, and something that we've really tried to instill in people as they come through Monzo and as they continue their careers here. So I'm going to leave you with a quote, because I love quotes. And it's something that I believe massively, because I imagine, I've seen the guest list tonight, and most of you are in people teams or in HR teams, whatever you decide to call your team. And well, this is my experience, it may not be yours, but I feel that being in these teams can sometimes make you feel quite isolated and separated from the people that you're trying to support and do so much from. And especially with something like culture, when things start to go wrong or isn't going in the way that you plan it to, it can feel so overwhelming and just huge, this massive thing. Like, how are you, this individual person, meant to do so much and impact such like a giant thing? And at Monzo especially, when we're growing so quickly, when you hear about things like not going the way you planned or someone not feeling the way you wanted them to feel, it can just feel like, well, again, this speaking from my experience, the world is ending. Like, oh my gosh, I'm terrible at my job, and like, who else is going to speak to you about it because they're not in your team or don't have the same goals? But I would just say, like with this quote, as long as you're a thoughtful, committed person to your cause, you're already doing a massively good job. And just to take a step back, give yourself a pat on the back, because just by being here, you're showing a commitment to your profession and to your company, and I think that like deserves a lot of recognition. So you're not alone. We're all here, and well done. You're doing a great job. Bye-bye.